The second day of period always comes like a quiet storm. By morning, her body was already pale, her hands cold despite the heating pad he had pressed to her lower abdomen before dawn. As it was the second day, obviously the blood loss had accelerated. Heavier than the previous day, the kind that left her lightheaded and slightly hypoxic. Her heart rate climbed to compensate. Her blood pressure dipped. Still, she stood tall. She had to, fastening the last button of her attire, tucking away the pain with the same precision she used to sign official papers. He watched from the doorway, his brow furrowed. "You are weak." The consequences of skipping lunch, he said quietly. "I got to know from the physician that usually on day 2, your estrogen is probably hitting the low and the uterine lining is shedding faster than your body can repair, so you will be tired before the meeting ends." She smiled faintly. "You make it sound like a tactical report." "It is, and the most important one," he replied. "I think you are my mission today." Everything was pre-scheduled. She had delegates to meet, a table to lead, and a world that didn't pause for the biology. She had no choice. So she got dressed up, against his gentle protest and concerns. Multiple times he kept whispering the reminder, "If anything happens, don't hesitate, don't waste a single moment to call me." The meeting ran long, 2 hours of polished diplomacy, standing posture, and sustained composure, all while her body waged its silent war. She got no chance to change her scented protection. She managed to stay composed, but as she rose at the end of the meeting to bid farewell to the visiting foreign delegate, protocol demanded a final bow, a walk to the car. That was when it happened. She felt a faint warmth spread beneath her skirt, the unmistakable sign of overflow. The heaviest phase had struck. Still, she didn't lose her momentum. The diplomat's grace held. Her tone didn't waver. Her expression never betrayed discomfort. But he, standing among the military aides, noticed first, then his subordinates and high colleagues. The 1995 born artillery sergeant and the 1994 born band leader was alerted, reading the silent signal in his eyes. The 1997 born military chef followed instinctively. In a heartbeat, the trio moved, forming a subtle perimeter around her. Their coordinated stance looked rehearsed, protective, professional, seamless. To outsiders, it appeared like standard farewell protocol. To those who knew, it was silent respect. Definitely, she sensed something was wrong when they moved that way. She glanced at him. His expression was calm but purposeful. The younger officer's posture was firm, guarding. Her intuition, that sharp, honoring instinct, whispered the truth. Finally, the delegate's car departed, and before she could even turn back, her husband's quiet voice reached her. "Cabin." Inside the cabin, she closed the door, finally exhaled, and the pain hit again. Fatigue catching up like a wave, she sighed, trembling, then forced herself to stand and check her clothes. She gasped as the stain was visible. Her composure cracked. She quickly changed into the fresh pair of clothes she kept in her locker for emergency, hands shaking. The embarrassment, the exhaustion, it all blurred together. Moments later, he softly knocked on the door, waited for another few seconds until he heard the "please come in" for the first time. He entered, silent, calm, his tone steady but eyes soft, capturing the embarrassed, vulnerable version of her. He wasted no time to embrace her. "Why? You did nothing wrong," he said. "You handled the meeting perfectly. Just because your skirt was stained." And the next moment she froze. "The chair," he hesitated. "Don't panic. You don't need to." Her heart raced. She ran anyway, straight to the conference room, but the moment she saw the chairs, she stopped. Every chair bore faint imprints of the long meeting, except hers. Hers was spotless, cleaner than the rest. She turned, confused. She turned her face and saw him standing by the door. But before she could ask, another figure appeared, the young military chef. His expression gentle but steady. "I did it," he said simply. "Please don't feel embarrassed, Nuna." Her throat tightened. "You shouldn't have to." He shook his head, smiling softly. "You taught me professionalism. Today I learned compassion, Nuna. I don't have an elder sister, so if you're really feeling guilty, then grant me a right." "A right?" Suspiciously, she whispered. He nodded. "Whenever something special happens in your life, your birthday, a promotion, your anniversary, anything, let me be the one, your brother. That would be your duty, Nuna, to accept me as your brother, and you have to treat me that way." Her tears spilled before she could stop them. She reached out, touched his arm lightly. "Then you have earned the right," she said, voice trembling. Later in her cabin, her husband found her sitting quietly, eyes tired but calm. He knelt before her, took her hands, which were cool from fatigue. He gently pressed them to his chest. "Your body has used all its strength. It's almost running out of its energy supply," he murmured. "Your hemoglobin is low, and you were running on pure willpower. You don't need to prove anything." She looked at him with a faint smile. "But I am an officer on duty. I can't just—" "You are my officer," he interrupted gently. "And my responsibility. Sit still." He wrapped a shawl around her, tucked a small heating pad beneath it, and handed her a warm chamomile tea, laced with honey and salt. The perfect balance to prevent further hypotension. His hands were careful as he adjusted the pressure at her lower back, knowing precisely where to soothe. "I'm just saying, you can take a little time to relax before diving back into work again. Work is important, but so is your health. I know your duty can't be replaced, but a short pause might do you good." "Rest," he whispered. "Let your body heal. You still have time. You are not racing a deadline." When she finally leaned her head on his shoulder, exhausted but comforted, he brushed a strand of hair aside and said softly, "You have endured pain and diplomacy in the same breath. That's not weakness, that's grace under fire." She smiled faintly, half asleep, whispering, "And you are still the most overprotective husband I have ever seen." He chuckled, pressing up to her temple. "I'm sure I'm the last one you will ever have to." Outside, the embassy buzzed on with its endless rhythm. Inside that quiet office, care took many forms. A soldier's discipline softened into gentleness. A young chef's loyalty blossomed into siblinghood. And a woman's resilience met the steady love of a man who made her strength feel seen. The evening settled softly over the city, a hush of amber light filling the room. She lay curled on the couch, her arm bandaged with a tiny square of cotton, still faintly throbbing where the needle had kissed her skin. He moved quietly around the house, the kind of quiet that feels protective rather than distant. The clink of a spoon, the low shimmer of soup on the stove, the rustle of him fetching her blanket, each sound was its own language of care. When he came back, he knelt beside her and set the tray down gently. A bowl of warm broth, a glass of water, and a soft towel folded neatly at the side. You should eat, he murmured, his voice low, still carrying that calm. She smiled faintly, her lips pale but her eyes warm. You were spoiling me. He brushed a stray hair from her forehead. You have earned it. You worth it. Beside, I like seeing you quiet for once. She laughed weakly. The sound small but real. He watched her sip the soup, his gaze tender and almost reverent. Every now and then he reached out to adjust the blanket around her shoulders or to tuck her feet in when she shifted. When the bowl was empty, he leaned back against him, her head resting against his shoulder. It's silly, she whispered, how something so small can shake me like that every time. He pressed his chin lightly against her hair. Fear isn't small just because it looks that way, he said. But you faced it. That's what matters. For a long time, they didn't speak. The room dimmed into twilight, the soft hum of the city outside mixing with the rhythm of their breathing. He traced slow circles along her wrist where the bandage sat, a wordless apology and a promise at once. You know, she said after a while, her voice barely above a sigh. You don't have to put so much effort. It will happen every month. His reply was quite certain. I want to, as long as I can. And silence followed, the kind that holds more love than words can say. She smiled again, eyes half closed. Then don't move. Just stay like this. I wasn't planning to, he whispered, tightening his arm around her. And in that soft, ordinary moment, city fading tonight, love felt exactly like it should. Quiet, steadfast, and warm enough to outlast fear itself.